Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel again. Another Game of Thrones review for you. This is episode 4, the direct aftermath of what happened at the Battle of Winterfell. This was a quieter episode compared to what we had in the last one, which was massively intense. So there are going to be spoilers for this episode. So if you've not seen it yet, you have been warned. I will be talking in depth what happens in this episode. So again, as I said, this is a much quieter episode, much more of the political moving around that we also, which I really enjoy about Game of Thrones, with the sort of political strategy that goes into it. But we open, it's kind of broken into two halves, this episode. The first half is all set once again at Winterfell. We've spent the last sort of the bulk of the last two episodes and the first half of this one, where obviously we're dealing with what happened from the morning from the night before. It's all the surviving members of Winterfell, so Jon, Brienne, Jaime, Dany, everybody is gathered outside Winterfell with all the bodies of the people that died and passed away. And we get those little confirmations of who did pass away and little goodbyes as well to do, as Sansa goes up to Theon, gives him one of the little Stark pins, which was a very nice touch, kind of really completing his whole arc, his journey through the whole story. Dany whispers something to Jorah, which we don't hear, which was a nice little moment just between those two characters. People probably never will find out what she said, but it was a nice little touch. Everybody else goes up to their sort of the main ones they were connected to. They burn all the bodies, and then we move on indoors into the party, the celebration of, okay, we made it. What do we do now? So the party's going on. It's quite good, obviously. Kind of starts off quite joyously with Dany basically knighting or ascending, I don't know kind of what the actual term is, of making Gendry the head of the Baratheon house. He is now running that house. That gives her another house, another family to get behind her, to be part of her sort of campaign to take over the Iron Throne, which is a smart play. She even says to Tyrion, "You're not the only clever one," and that's that. But as the party goes on, you can see everyone kind of gravitate towards Jon, although she's the one that toasts Arya, but Arya's not really there. She's not really in the party. She kind of disappears for a lot of it. But you see everyone kind of getting towards Jon, because Jon's their favourite. Jon's the Northman. He's brought the wildlings there. So they're saying how crazy he is for jumping on this dragon and all this stuff. And she rides dragon all the time, but you can see it's getting to her. You can see she's starting to see that it doesn't matter what she does, doesn't matter who she praises, they're always going to gravitate towards Jon. And obviously her now knowing Jon's true heritage to the throne, and they have a conversation about this later on, it's getting to her. She's now starting to see, is Jon not only he could be an ally because he can bring the North to her, but is he also a threat? Because if they find out, and this is the conversation that they have in their sort of keep after the party happens, if they find out who he is, they will gravitate to him. Even Jon says, "I won't want it." She said, "It won't matter. They will want you to take it. They will no longer follow her. They will follow him." And it's the one thing that she sees as her destiny is the throne, and now Jon's the threat to that throne, which is really interesting, and I really like that dynamic. And I thought this is where it was going to go, because you start to see as the episode goes on, slowly, like little things happen, chip away at her kind of resolve and her sort of mystique of, she's calm, she can be ruthless, but she's always in control. But she's slowly turning and becoming more mad and more impulsive and more ruthless as the episode's going on. She don't really do anything. You can see it in her face that everything that happens, she's just chipping away until we're going to see her go nuts probably in the next episode. But that's her story. Also in the party we have the exchange between Brienne and Jaime and Tyrion and Pod, all having this little conversation, having this little drinking game of, have you ever done this? And they drink. And then Tyrion asked Brienne if she's a virgin. She kind of stutters and kind of runs away. And then as Tormund goes to kind of comfort her, Jaime stops him. He goes off and he starts crying. This was quite a funny moment. He was, "Oh, she broke my heart," this, that, the other. And then some girl goes, "Oh, Shaggy." He's like, "All right, I'm better now." And he just goes off, showing that as much as obviously I really liked the whole idea between Tormund and Brienne, it was more of just a physical lust thing. I don't think he really he wasn't in love with her. He just saw her as someone who he could potentially have sex with, but he doesn't. But then Jaime and Brienne, it's a much more of a deeper connection because they've been on a journey together. She was there when he lost his hand. She comforted him through that moment. One of his lowest moments, she was the one that was there supporting him. And vice versa, when she was fighting the bear and she was being teased, he was the one that supported her. So there's this real good connection between the two of them. And it built up, and obviously, especially in like previous episode, a little ago, that he was the one that knighted her. Like, he is a knight, he can do that. And I thought that was going to be the end of their sort of story. I thought he's now seen her not only as a compatriot, but as an equal, because he's made her a knight now. They're now together. But obviously now he doesn't. Now he sees it as a woman, as an attractive woman to his eyes. She's attractive. That's a horrible thing to say. Yeah, and then obviously they sleep together, and it's this big double moment. You think, okay, so now they've had peace and closure. Then later in the episode, after Sansa says about, I wanted to be there when your sister was executed, now looks like I won't get the chance, or something to that effect, it switches in Jaime, because I think he always thought Dany will go down. Dany's reasonable. Dany's going to go down. She's going to talk to Cersei. She's not going to kill Cersei. She's going to talk to her reasonable about and get her out. But obviously after what happened with the dragons and everything, he knows that Dany's not going to stop. Dany's going to try and kill her, and he can't have that. He can't be in a world where Cersei isn't there. So he drops everything, says to Brienne, it's always been Cersei. I'm always going to go back to Cersei. And he breaks her heart, and he leaves. That was a really, really hard moment, especially for Brienne, because obviously she finally thought she got closure and she was going to be happy in Winterfell. But no, Jaime's like, no, I'm out of here. See you later. Which was really, very hard for her to take. The only thing with this, I'd like to have seen, maybe this is the problem with having a 6-episode season. This could have done with like a whole episode of them in Winterfell being happy, and then the following episode, then it goes. I think it would have had more impact, but because obviously now we've only got 2 episodes left, it needs to be kind of rushed through a little bit. So I would have liked to have seen that broken down a little bit more. The Bronn thing with Tyrion and in the bar was great. I love Bronn. He's such a great character. He's like, I just want the best for me, essentially. So she's offered me this. What can you offer me? Offers him everyone's like, done. See you later. I'm not going to fight for you lot. So the kind of the main then sort of focus shifts. Oh no, sorry, I forgot a major bit. Jon finally, he has this conversation with Dany, and she's like, don't tell anybody because it will sway support for her. He promises. He goes back on that promise. He then has a conversation with Sansa and Arya after there was this kind of political battle, and he said, no, the North people must go to help Dany, and they're like, no, because they're tired. But he has a conversation in the Godwood about who he is. Bran kind of spoils it a little bit, because he goes to Jon, it's your choice, obviously meaning there is something he needs to tell. Like, if he wanted to leave it to Jon completely, he wouldn't have said anything. Jon kind of swears into secrecy, then tells Bronn to tell them. And again, there's another little thing. I think with the rushiness, I would love to have seen their reaction, their very first reaction to Bran telling them who Jon is, and their instant reaction. Would they be in denial? Would they be in shock? Would they kind of always know a little bit? Something. But we don't. He just says, tell them, we cut, and then a few scenes later we see Sansa just kind of standing there, and then she tells Tyrion. I think that's a very Littlefinger thing for her to do. It's something that Littlefinger would have done to kind of play the Game of Thrones, but she's definitely doing it to kind of stop Dany from ruling, because she'd rather see Jon, because that would unite the kingdoms better with her in the north, Jon in the south. So Tyrion tells Varys, which was a really good scene with them in the boat, with them talking and the sort of the pros and cons of Dany and Jon, and what would happen if one would rule the other, and could they rule together. And it was just a great political scene. This is again the Game of Thrones. This is the political movement that we've loved in a lot of the other episodes. And then we move on to Dragonstone, where you're thinking it's all kind of safe. They're going to come home, they're going to regroup, strategize and battle, and then out of nowhere we lose another dragon. The dragon is gone. We're down to 1 now. The Iron Fleet was there. One of the Scorpion boats takes out the dragon out of nowhere. It's one of those sort of things. She's that high up. She should have really seen no ships, but nevertheless, takes out a dragon, takes out the whole ship, really. Destroys more an army, even more decimated than what it already is. They regroup on the beach. Turns out Missandei has been captured by Cersei, and then we kind of had the meet up at at King's Landing, where Tyrion and Qyburn try and negotiate, and they're kind of like both making their simple points, because Tyrion's like, look, we have a dragon, we have this, we have that. just surrender now and we won't kill you. But he's like, well, you don't, because most of your army is gone. You've got one dragon, we've got all these scorpion bows. We have a prisoner of yours. You surrender. So it is very much a political game. Turns out in the end that Tyrion tries to reason with her, and you think he might have just got through to her. I really thought she was going to kill him. But I think she kind of, with her family, she's very hesitant to kill them. Like, it would take something. Anybody else, she doesn't care. But this proves how much of a genius Cersei is, because after the battle at Winterfell, we thought, how would Cersei going to pose any threat to Dany and the dragons, and even with a smaller army, how? But she's proven, she's already taken out a dragon, taken out a lot of army already. She's a genius when it comes to tactical and playing the politics side of it. It kills Missandei, which really sets Dany off. You see the look in her face, and Emilia Clarke did a great job in this episode in terms of her emotion, because she doesn't say a lot in this episode, but just her facial expressions and what she's feeling and what she wants to get out. She did a really good job. You can tell she's ready to snap, just to jump on that dragon, just burn the whole place to the ground, which is kind of leading to that sort of Mad Queen. Will they go that route? We don't know. Overall, it was a really good episode. I liked the sort of political moving. Again, obviously, take a little break after the battle, and I think the next episode we're going to get another battle with the Golden Company versus what's ever left of Dany's army when Jon gets here and the dragon turns up. So that's going to be really intriguing. We've got 2 episodes left to go now, so getting very excited, very close to the end. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. I'll catch you next time. Bye.